Shabbat Shalom. The members of the conclave, the congregation, have voted. White smoke has risen out of the chimney atop Harris Chapel, and you have selected a new leader, an American at that. And a bit surprisingly, a Jew. From this day forth, I'm going to be known as John the 57th, President of Mount Zion. About 3 years ago at a meeting in Rabbi Spilker's office with then President Michael Wall, and now past President Amy Schwartz-Moore, Amy asked me if I was interested in becoming temple president. Immediately, I answered, yes, I love this place. The three inquirers seemed pleasantly surprised by my quick response. A few seconds went by, my brain whirled a little bit, and I added, actually, what does the president of Mount Zion do? Well, I'm sure they gave me some pertinent details. What stuck with me was what Rabbi Spilker said, noting that my instantaneous yes echoed our tradition of taking on challenging tasks and then figuring out how to accomplish them. When I later told my kids that I was going to become president, they were both really excited for me. Indeed, Raymond asked proudly when I'd be quitting my law job to start my new position with the temple. I do hope the pay is good because college ain't cheap. In actuality, while being president of Mount Zion's board of directors is a volunteer position, our outgoing president, Amy Schwartz-Moore, sure treated it like a full-time job. Amy's day job is at Land O'Lakes, so if your butter hasn't been quite up to snuff for the last 2 years, now you know why. You can get back to churning now, Amy. Most temple presidents don't get the privilege of working with 2 religious school directors and 3 executive directors in just their first year of their term, but Amy did. If you've been at Mount Zion at all over the last 2 years, you have certainly seen Amy. But Amy was so much more than present. She worked incredibly hard to make sure that we made headway down our derech, or path, to execute our new strategic plan. Not to mention, Amy helped us implement new programming and address the myriad challenges, security issues, and internal tensions involved with being a Jewish institution since October 7th. She facilitated the hiring of our excellent new director of congregational engagement, Rabbi Heather Renetsky, and did all this while maintaining a balanced budget. While I think I only glimpsed the tip of the iceberg, I know Amy handled numerous difficult issues always head on. She never shirked from them. She worked hard to address problems immediately and right up till the end, rather than leaving them for me to handle. On behalf of myself and a grateful congregation, Amy, you've been an incredible role model, and I can only hope to fill your incredible shoes. Can you come up here right now for a gift?
I will present this gift, Amy, to you. It is a Seder plate designed by Israeli artist Uri Grader. I first encountered this artist in Israel a couple years ago at the Diaspora Museum that's now called the Anu Museum, and I just fell in love with her work. And I just knew that it elevates things the way you have elevated us. On the back it says, with deepest gratitude to Amy Schwartz-Moore, Mount Zion President, 2023 to 2025. And it has a quote. Rabbi Yirmiyahu said, the one occupied with the needs of community is like one who is occupied with matters of Torah. Talmud Yerushalmi, Brachot 5:1. Thank you.
So back to me for a bit then. Who am I? Some of you know me, and certainly not all of you. I'm a proud Badger, where I majored in poli-sci and history. I love history, as it teaches us how far we have come while also reminding us what remains similar from the past. In a few weeks, we will celebrate Shavuot, where we will stand at the Ark as if we were on Mount Sinai with our Israelite ancestors receiving Torah. While I have no personal memories of Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob, Leah, and Rachel, I do have many fond memories of my grandparents, Raymond and Elaine, and Joseph and Fritzy. Much of what makes me who I am came from my ancestors, including those wonderful grandparents. Their history shows how amazing it is that I stand before you on this day, while also more generally being instructional about what it means to be a Jew today. But maybe not this aspect. I often heard my great-grandpa Ray relay how he was first drawn to Elaine's long grape gowns when he saw her dressed as a cigarette girl at a Halloween party. For those who don't think we've come a long way since the 1930s, let that sentence sink in for a bit. Like me and Kay, my dad's parents had an interfaith marriage. In fact, their nuptials were so controversial that they married twice. First secretly with Ray's Reformed family in Milwaukee, and then again with Elaine's Orthodox family in Monroe, Wisconsin. Monroe, home of the Fighting Cheesemakers. No matter the start of their courtship, their long marriage was beautiful. One of mutual respect, adoring love, and many laughs. Elaine was a homemaker, raising my dad, Alan, and his two little sisters, and much later helping settle Jewish Soviet refuseniks. Grandma Elaine had a cookie jar, which my sister will remember, and it was filled with ginger snaps and the welcoming phrase, "When mom says no, ask grandma." You can be sure that we did. Well, I remember Grandpa Ray as Dr. Schmiercase, who could tickle away your boo-boos while speaking with an exaggerated German accent. Apparently, he was not actually a medical doctor. Rather, Ray joined his three big brothers in starting a kosher meatpacking company in Milwaukee. And while you can still buy Strauss meats, before I was born, Ray had a falling out with his brothers, left the business, and became a successful stockbroker. While he never returned to the business, it seems meaningful today, in this time of Jewish infighting, that not only did Elaine's and Ray's two families become very close, but also that Ray reconciled with his brothers. I pray we can all do the same. Sometime in grade school, my cousin Barry wrote this report with the riveting title, "Whence My Heritage? Why This Search?" Joe was born in 1901, 105 years to the day before my son Raymond Joseph, in a shtetl called Myshenitz, which was in the Pale of Russia, Poland. It was a tough time for Jews. Joe's father, Wolf, had seen religious and economic persecution while serving in the Tsar's army. Indeed, the Tsar prohibited Jews born in the Pale from leaving, so Wolf had to escape to the safety of, wait for it, Germany. Wolf hired a guide, hid by day and traveled by night. He crawled through the least guarded section of the border, praying that a German guard would not pounce on him. Luckily for us, he had only a brief stay in Deutschland, and then sailed on to London, where the Salvation Army provided him shelter with the unsuccessful hope that he would convert to Christianity. Soon after, Wolf made his way to Montreal, learning the buttonhole maker trade, and then on to New York, where he saved enough money to bring his wife and my then 5-year-old Grandpa Joe to America. As they entered New York Harbor after their long voyage, Joe ran to the edge of the ship, but my great-grandmother Anne covered little Joe's eyes and told him not to look at that graven image of the Statue of Liberty, believing it was actually a massive sculpture of the Virgin Mary. In 1931, Joe and Wolf returned to Europe to visit family. They found Joe's old home in Myshenitz had been destroyed during World War I, and tragically, they failed to convince their remaining family to come to America. None survived the Holocaust, and sadly their names are not in this report, and their identities are tragically lost to history. Whence My Heritage, Why This Search is chock full of wonderful stories and anecdotes for another day. But if you'll indulge me this one meet cute, I will then wrap up. One stormy night on their return trip from the old country aboard the German vessel Europa, Wolf and Joe went to the kosher dining room and joined by the few second-class passengers who could stomach any food. After imbibing a bit of cognac to alleviate their seasickness, they moved to the music salon, where my grandfather saw a very fair, tall brunette enter the room. He asked her to dance. Well, his poor German language skills and the rocking boat did not make for much of a waltz. The lovely young woman joined them for a drink. Motioning toward her, Joseph said to his father in Yiddish, "Sie ist ein Schicksal." At which point the German woman exclaimed, also in Yiddish, "I'm no Schicksal, I'm Jewish." Rabbi Spilker often cautions us not to hold a person to the first thing they say. And I'm glad that my eventual grandmother, Beatrice, whose yahrzeit is tonight, did not, as she and Joe were married 3 years later. Beatrice became a teacher, like Fritzie, who Joe married after Beatrice passed away, and who I long thought was my grandmother by blood. Joe became a lawyer in New York. Once, Joe lost a city council race to Fiorello LaGuardia. Who knows, if you'd won, perhaps you'd be landing at Tarlow Field on your next trip to the city. Joe and Beatrice's youngest daughter, my mom Diana, and my stepfather Alan are both here tonight, as is Ray and Elaine's son, my dad Alan. My mom likes her Allens. My stepmom Judy is watching from Milwaukee with my stepsister Stephanie. My sister Betsy flew in from Boston, and several friends are here or watching on the stream. And of course, my amazing wife Kay and our wonderful boys Raymond and Benny are here. Raymond just having returned from the University of Kansas. Thanks to each of you for all your love and support. I hope to return it to Mount Zion as best I can. We have an amazing synagogue with an incredible staff, clergy, lay leadership, and a vibrant community. We also have a lot of work ahead, not the least, further implementation of the 4 strategic directions that we voted on several years ago, and determining how to fund some expensive maintenance required by our historic building. Doing so will allow us to continue to have wonderful programming, learning, and worship in this special place. Being president of this synagogue's board is the honor of a lifetime, and I look forward to doing my part to make this a warm and welcoming home that celebrates our entire community. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.